The ranger told us the upper trail was still closed after winter. But when we found the old path cutting through the trees, it looked used. Fresh tracks, broken branches. And we made the worst decision you can make in the mountains. We followed it. This happened in early April in the mountains near Estes Park, not far from Rocky Mountain National Park. Snow was melting, but winter hadn't fully let go yet. That weird in-between season where the ground is half ice, half mud, and the forest feels unfinished. It was supposed to be an easy overnight hike. Just me and my friend Daniel. We checked in with the ranger station that morning. He told us the main ridge trail was still closed from storm damage. Too many fallen trees, unstable snow above the tree line. So we stuck to the lower trail. For the first few hours, everything was normal. Wet ground, cold air, streams running fast from meltwater. Around midday, we reached a fork that wasn't on the park map. A narrow path, barely visible, cutting uphill into thicker forest. Daniel noticed it first. "What if that reconnects with the ridge?" he said. There were footprints, fresh enough to still hold their shape in the mud. Someone had used it recently. And that was enough to convince us. We took the shortcut. At first, it felt like we'd found some local secret trail. Quiet, steep, efficient. But after about 40 minutes, something started to feel off. The forest got denser, quieter. No birds, no wind. Just that strange, heavy stillness you only notice when it's too complete. Then we saw the first marker. A strip of red cloth tied to a branch. Not trail tape.
Not official park markings, just a torn piece of fabric. We figured maybe someone marked their own route. But then we saw another, and another. Each one tied higher than the last. Like whoever put them there kept raising their arm to reach. Daniel joked that maybe a tall guy came through. I laughed at the time. We kept climbing. The path narrowed until it wasn't really a path anymore, just a line of disturbed ground winding through trees. Then we noticed something else. The footprints had changed. They weren't boot prints anymore. They looked longer, like the heel was stretched, or like someone was walking on the front of their feet. I stopped and said we should turn back. Daniel agreed immediately. That's when we realized we couldn't hear the stream anymore, or anything else. Just our own breathing. We turned around and started descending, but within 5 minutes, the trail behind us didn't look the same. I know that sounds stupid, but the line we'd followed up was gone. No clear route, no obvious disturbed ground, just forest. And those red cloth strips, now leading deeper between the trees. We followed them, thinking they must lead back to somewhere. After 10 minutes, Daniel stopped walking. He pointed ahead. There was a clearing, and in the middle of it stood a dead tree, completely stripped of bark. And around its trunk, dozens of red cloth strips were tied in circles, like someone had been walking around it over and over again. I felt this sudden, overwhelming urge to leave. Not panic, not fear, just this deep, instinctive feeling that we were somewhere we weren't supposed to be. Daniel whispered, "Do you hear that?" At first I didn't. Then I did. A faint crunch. Slow steps.
Coming from the trees behind us. We both turned. Nothing there. But the sound continued. Step. Pause. Step.
Too heavy for an animal. Too uneven for a normal person. We didn't talk. We just started walking, then faster, then almost running. Branches snapped somewhere behind us. The sound kept matching our pace. Not chasing, just following. After what felt like forever, we finally burst out onto the real trail, the marked one. Wide, clear, familiar. We didn't stop moving until we reached the lower trailhead. When we got back to the ranger station, we told him about the path. He frowned immediately, said there was no official trail there, hadn't been one in decades. Old logging route from the 70s, closed after a series of disappearances. He asked where exactly we'd entered the woods. We showed him on the map. He went quiet, then said something I still think about. "That area's been empty since the closures," he said. "No one hikes there anymore." I told him we'd seen fresh tracks. He looked at me and shook his head. "No," he said. "You saw something." I still hike, but now, if a trail isn't on the map, I don't care how used it looks. Because sometimes, the path you think someone else took before you was never meant for people at all. We only planned to hike until sunset. But when the snow started falling again, we realized we weren't going to make it back in time. And that's when we saw the cabin. The problem was, it wasn't on any map. And someone was already inside. This happened in late March in the backcountry outside Asheville, near the edge of Pisgah National Forest. That time of year is tricky. Spring on the calendar, winter in the mountains. Melting snow in the morning, frozen ground by afternoon, and storms that roll in without warning. It was supposed to be a simple day hike, just me and my brother, Lucas. We left the trailhead around noon, planning to reach a lookout ridge and head back before dark. For the first few hours, everything was fine. Cold air, muddy patches, the occasional snowdrift in the shade. Then, around 4 p.m., the sky changed. Clouds rolled in fast, and within minutes, light snow started falling again. We checked our phones. No signal. And we were farther from the trailhead than we thought. We picked up the pace, trying to retrace our route, but as the snow got heavier, the trail started disappearing. Footprints filled in, markers got harder to see. Within half an hour, the forest looked completely different. That's when Lucas spotted it. Through the trees, maybe 50 yards off the trail. A cabin. Small, wooden, old. Smoke rising from the chimney. We looked at each other. Neither of us remembered seeing any structure marked on the map. But it was getting dark fast, and the snow wasn't stopping. So we headed toward it. As we got closer, something felt off. There were no tracks leading to the cabin, no footprints in the snow. Not from today, not from yesterday. Just untouched snow right up to the door. But smoke was still coming out of the chimney. Lucas knocked. No answer. He tried the handle. Unlocked. We stepped inside. The air was warm. Not cozy warm. Furnace warm. Like it had been heated for hours. Inside was a single room. Wood stove burning. Table. 2 chairs. And a backpack sitting on the floor. Modern. Clean. Not old like the cabin. "Hello?" I called out. Nothing. We figured whoever owned it might be outside gathering wood. So we waited. 10 minutes passed. The storm outside got worse. Wind howling, snow hitting the windows. Lucas checked the backpack.
Inside were supplies, food, water, flashlight, and a folded map. He opened it. It wasn't a hiking map. It was a printed satellite image with a circle drawn around the cabin and a line drawn from the trail straight to this spot. That's when we heard the sound. Footsteps outside, slow, crunching through snow, approaching the cabin. We both froze. The steps stopped at the porch. Then we heard the handle move. But it didn't open, just rattled slightly, like someone testing if it was locked. We hadn't locked it. Lucas whispered, "Don't move." The handle stopped moving. Then silence. 30 seconds passed. A minute. Then we heard footsteps again, but they weren't moving away. They were moving around the cabin. Crunch. Pause. Crunch. I felt my chest tighten. Whoever was outside knew we were in there. The footsteps stopped at the back wall. Then, a knock. Not on the door, on the wall. 3 slow taps. Lucas grabbed the flashlight like it was a weapon. Neither of us spoke. Another knock, this time on the window. We didn't look. We just stood there, listening. Then the footsteps moved again, around the front, past the door, and finally, away into the forest. We waited another 10 minutes before moving. Lucas went to the window and looked out. The snow was still falling hard, but we could see footprints now. One set, large, deep. They circled the cabin once and then led back into the trees. Not toward the trail, not toward any direction that made sense, just into the forest. We didn't stay there long after that. The storm eased up slightly and we decided we'd rather risk the cold than spend another minute in that cabin. We followed our compass and eventually found the trail again. It took us almost 2 hours to get back to the car. The next week, I called the ranger station to ask about the cabin. They told me there were no registered structures in that area, no ranger shelters, no private cabins, nothing. I tried to describe the location. The ranger went quiet. Then he said something that stuck with me. "There used to be an illegal hunting cabin out there," he said. "Burned down in the early 2000s. I told him this one wasn't burned." He paused, then said, "If you saw a cabin out there, it wasn't supposed to be there anymore." I still hike in winter, but now, if I ever see smoke rising from a cabin that isn't on the map, I keep walking. Because some shelters in the woods aren't meant to keep you safe. The sign at the trailhead said the canyon route was closed until May. Avalanche risk, unstable ground. So when we heard someone screaming for help from that direction, we knew one of 2 things was true. Either someone ignored the closure, or something out there knew exactly how to sound human. This happened in early March in the mountains outside Bozeman, near the backcountry trails leading toward Gallatin Canyon. Winter still had a grip on the area. Snowpack was deep, the river was half frozen, and most trails above the valley floor were officially closed. My friend Tyler and I weren't planning anything extreme, just a winter hike along the open lower route. We checked in at the trail board, saw the closure notices, and stuck to the marked path. For the first hour, everything was normal. Crunching snow, cold air, distant sound of the river below. Then we heard it. A shout. Faint at first. "Hey! Help! We stopped immediately. It came from somewhere up the canyon, from the closed trail. Tyler looked at me like he expected me to say it was just an echo. But then it came again, closer this time. "Please, I'm over here!" It sounded like a man, desperate, winded. We both knew we shouldn't go that way. Closed winter trails aren't suggestions, they're warnings. But if someone was actually hurt, you don't just ignore that.
So we stepped off the open route and started toward the canyon path. The snow there was deeper. No fresh footprints, no ski tracks, no signs anyone had been through recently. That should have been our first clue. We followed the sound. Every few minutes, the voice called again, always just ahead, always just out of sight. "Help! I can't move!" We kept moving uphill. The trees got tighter, the canyon walls steeper. The sound of the river disappeared behind us. After maybe 20 minutes, I noticed something strange. The voice never echoed. In a canyon like that, sound should bounce everywhere. But his voice sounded flat, like it wasn't really coming from the terrain around us. I told Tyler. He didn't answer. He was staring ahead. There, in the snow, were footprints. Finally. Large ones. Deep. But they weren't heading uphill. They were heading down. Toward us. We both stopped. The voice called again, but this time, it came from behind us. "Hey, I'm here! Please!" We spun around. Nothing there. Just trees and snow. But the sound had been clear. Right behind us. Tyler whispered, "Okay, that's not normal." We started backing downhill, slow at first, then faster. The voice called again, now from uphill, then from somewhere to the left, then from the canyon wall itself. Like it was moving around us without anything actually moving. That's when we heard something else. Not a voice. Footsteps. Heavy ones. Coming through the snow somewhere out of sight. Parallel to us. Keeping pace. We didn't talk after that. We just walked faster, then faster, until we were basically sliding back toward the open trail. The moment we hit the marked route again, the voice stopped. Completely. Like someone had flipped a switch. No wind, no footsteps, no sound at all. Just silence. We didn't stop moving until we reached the parking area. Later that week, I called the ranger office and told them what we'd heard. The ranger didn't sound surprised. He just asked one question. Did the voice ever sound closer than it should have been? I said yes. He sighed, then said, "Every winter we get reports like that near the closed canyon." I asked if anyone had ever actually been found out there. He paused, then said, "No. I still hike in winter, but now, if I hear someone calling for help from a closed trail, I call the rangers. I don't go looking anymore. Because whatever was in that canyon didn't need help. It needed us to come closer."